Hi, I'm Sean Arnold, and this is another brief, brave attempt in learning. I honestly wish I was in Minecraft some of the time because it would be more enjoyable than the reality we have at points. But that's not the sole reason to get into Minecraft. I want to take you through some of that why. It's important to note that I've long felt that games played a pivotal role in teaching, especially the teaching of students who struggle with school in general, which are the kinds of students that I teach. You see, so many students get waylaid by school, not because it's too difficult or because it's too challenging. No, kids love those challenges when they're in a game, digital or otherwise. But they give up on school because it's boring, right? So I want to always learn to incentivize school and incentivize learning impactfully. Now, I was using Minecraft for my students long before it was a Microsoft phenomenon. Since it has become an education edition, it's brought so many new features in and it's made it much more accessible for a lot of my students. And I'll get into that. But I think a lot of times when we talk about technology and how it's impacting education, we get into like, oh, here's what you do and the button that you click and what do we need to buy and blah, blah, blah. And not enough of background of why it's important and even more so of who we're focused on making it meaningful for. So I'm going to spend a moment on who my students are, why it's been meaningful for us, and then I'll get into what we've done with it. All right. So our sort of why in our Minecraft story begins with the whole concept of 21st century learning. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, the 7 C's as it were. So yes, Minecraft Education Edition is cross-curricular and it can teach history and science, and of course with all the blocks and the grids, math is a given. But apart from curriculum, which is not one of the 7 C's, it is great for teaching the skills that are going to be necessary across whatever path the future holds for students that we might not conceive of. Whether that kid is working at McDonald's, if those jobs still exist, or that kid is working at Google or whoever else is in charge, they're going to need to learn how to communicate, even if that's with a device. They're going to need to learn how to collaborate with others. They're going to need to know how to think critically and be creative. And as far as some of those things, there are no bigger challenges for thinking critically than starting with an empty screen. There's no better creativity than basically what is digital Legos. So yes, if you want to be nerdy and dive into the data, it is shown effective across a range of categories, but especially for students who struggle with traditional learning. But I'm going to focus on a couple key areas I think are most meaningful. So much of learning and education has been about the external, extrinsic motivators, right? That outside stuff. Here's a grade. Here's some stickers. Here's some points, or blah, 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 blah. And that kind of stuff is meaningful for ensuring productivity in the short term, but it kills creativity almost immediately, and even productivity wanes over a time. But if you can tap into those intrinsic motivators, those internal things like a sense of purpose in what you're doing, a sense of play, a sense of connection to other people, if you're into social things, clear goals, a challenge that you've accomplished, that kind of stuff is what drives long-term creativity, long-term productivity, and gets kids to remember stuff they need to remember, right? Games are powerful motivators for that. And beyond that, I think games really help to redefine failure in learning. So that same kid who in Super Mario falls off the cliff 16 times is going to jump a 17th time because they learned maybe I just got to jump just a half second later and I can make it across the cliff, or I have to bounce off that Goomba, right? They're learning from their prior experience, which is literally what learning is, making it meaningful for them, learning to work harder and work smarter, all right? And beyond all that, it's important to note, though, that not all games are equal, right? There's this phenomenon called the chocolate-covered broccoli paradox. And in this context, I like broccoli, but let's think school lunch broccoli where it's mushy and nasty and gross and nobody wants it. Maybe you got nicer school lunches than I do, I don't know. But just because you put chocolate on it doesn't make it good. So when I was a kid, things like math blasters, yeah, it was better than flashcards. I'll give you that, but it was just flashcards with flashy lights. Whereas an intrinsically motivating game, let's say a Carmen Sandiego, where it was just straight up fun and you wanted to play and you just happened to be learning about social studies as you did it. Those are the kind of games that are meaningful. Kids want to play Minecraft and then the learning just becomes intrinsic and part of the experience. It's awesome when you can have students learning that way. The teachers do not have to be good at Minecraft to teach with Minecraft, right? You are the one setting goals. You are the one setting learning objectives, right? That's what I'm doing. I wasn't good at Minecraft. The students were when we first started using it way back in the day, before it was a thing in education-wise. But that was the thing. I could create the design challenges and say what my expectations were, even if I couldn't have met those expectations yet of building in Minecraft. I would only learn that stuff over time. But that's what's cool about it. The kids were incentivized to do it and go beyond what I even asked of them. It's clear there are a number of reasons to start using Minecraft with your students. So let's get started learning about how to do that effectively in our next sessions. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope this was useful for you. And don't forget to watch the rest of the series on Minecraft Education Edition. And you might also want to explore some related topics for game-based learning and other types of assessments. Go ahead, we'll be here waiting for you.